Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Mendte. Now we continue my interview with New Jersey Senate President Steve Sweeney. How has the governor done with the pandemic?
I think the governor deserves a lot of credit for bringing the curve down. I'm just concerned that we're slow opening up and we're behind the other states. We belong to a consortium. And Pennsylvania and Delaware opened up restaurants outside dining June 5th. We're the 15th. The governor says data drives decisions, but they don't show us the data. Why couldn't we let the businesses open on the 12th of June? You know what I'm saying, Larry? I think he's done a very good job. But I also think that the economy is being damaged by going slower. Larry, when we're 2 weeks behind other states selling cars, car sales are a third of our sales tax. And you need a car, and you can go to Pennsylvania, New York, or Delaware, or Connecticut to get one, but you can't get one in New Jersey. You lose dollars. And that's what our concern is losing our share of different taxes by letting the economy start to open up again. Hey, listen, I agree, social distance. I absolutely am a believer in the masks. I think we take it slow, we'd be smart, but we're taking it too slow.
Shouldn't the Assembly and the Senate be involved or at least consulted in some of the decisions that were made? I know many people have complained they were not consulted.
So we were consulted in some things and working with legislation, but obviously we're not satisfied with the reopening plan because we're not consulted. The governor says data drives decisions. I had a meeting with him the other day to go over the data. There isn't any. There really isn't any. They decide to open something up, they open something up. Again, Larry, why is it okay for me to go into a crowd at Walmart or Target, but I can't go into a little boutique, card store where you tell the card store owner, and say, here's the CDC guidelines, Mr. Small Business, Mrs. Small Business. They're the most creative people in the world. Small business owners are the most creative people in the world because they came up with a business to support their family. So give them guidelines and let them see if they can make it work or not. To say 25% of this or 50% of that, I haven't seen the data. I did get a briefing, to be perfectly honest with you, the other day. I wasn't satisfied with it at all because what I was looking for was show me the reasons why a restaurant can't open on Friday, but it can open 2 days later on Monday, realizing like a lot of these shore businesses, they get 10 weeks. And every weekend you take away from them, that's 1 weekend less. Larry, Jersey. It's a huge piece of the economy.
Will there be hearings in either the Senate or the Assembly or both, a joint session into how this was handled and mistakes that may have been made?
Well, Larry, there's always going to be a post-op. I don't like to say post-mortem because of all the deaths that we had. There'll be a post-op. And, look, in fairness to this governor and this administration, you're doing everything you can on the fly during a crisis. So you're trying to figure things out. The most important thing that we need to do is reflect back and look at what worked for us, what went well, what didn't go well, and put a game plan together. God forbid if we ever have to deal with something like this again. Obviously there was a mistake made with the nursing homes, but at the end of the day, when you don't have enough PPE and you have a choice, you can protect the doctors. You know what I mean? You can protect the doctors and the nurses who are going to deal with these patients, or I don't have enough to do both. So, you do a little bit of one or the other. It's a horrible choice. So, not having enough PPE, and you can't blame this administration or any administration for not having enough. This country's known for 2 decades that something like this was eventually going to hit, and none of us were prepared for it. Not one state was prepared for it. So, when you look at it, we got to make sure that we have manufacturing in the state that manufactures the masks, the gloves, the shields, the gowns, so that when this happens, we're not relying on foreign countries. We're not the whim of foreign countries to beg to get material in and then pay black market prices to it, because we pay black market prices at times.
It sounds like you're defending that directive that nursing homes had to accept COVID-19 patients once they were released from the hospital.
No, I'm not defending it. In fact, that was a mistake, and we should learn from our mistakes. Governor Cuomo said that, Larry. If they had to do it over again, they wouldn't have done that. And I think this administration hopefully recognizes the same thing, that you send people into the field hospitals. You don't send them back into the nursing homes. Again, it was a mistake. It was an absolute mistake. What I'm defending is the governor's difficult decision on where PPE goes. You know, the idea of bringing this curve down was, and everyone needs to remember this, curve coming down was to not overwhelm our healthcare systems. That's why we shut everything down. Our healthcare systems are not overwhelmed now. Now it's time to let us open up again in a very cautious, smart way, but a little bit quicker than what we're doing.
I know the governor said recently they're not going to have layoffs and they're going to have furloughs. Have you talked about that, and do you know the number?
Well, it's legislation myself and my assembly partner Adam Talafero did. We did the legislation. I wish it happened sooner, Larry, because we could have saved more money. We're going to get 1 month's of savings instead of a few, but something's better than nothing. I haven't seen all the CWA plan, so I really can't comment on it, but I was pushing for furloughs because under the CARES Act, the majority of our workers would have made out better being furloughed than, than actually working 40 hours a week. So it was taking advantage of the CARES Act. We in New Jersey always complain we don't get enough of our fair share from Washington. Here's where we actually made out pretty good. It's just it took longer than we would have liked.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell suggested that you declare bankruptcy. Mitch McConnell suggested at one point that we're not going to bail out failing economies in the states.
Well, Mitch McConnell making a statement like that makes him I'm not going to use that word. You know what I mean? I was going to use a bad word, but he's a horse's ass, I got to say that. Larry, why would you want governments to go bankrupt? That would destabilize the markets around the country and around the world. We borrow money from lots of people. They need to help the states out, just like they helped everyone else out, because we are the country.
Well, I know you have a difficult task ahead of you, and thank you so much for spending some time with us. I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks. It was good seeing you again. Maybe next time it'll be in person.
Oh, I hope so. Oh, by the way, let me ask one last question. Is the Senate going to meet in person?
Yes. We're working at plans for next week. Meet and vote on the floor Monday, and if necessary, Tuesday. We got to do the proper protocols because, I have some members that are at risk. So they might be in their offices and have their aides run and cast their votes. But we intend to be the assembly. I spoke to the speaker. He and I both intend to be in Trenton on Monday.
Wonderful. Thanks for answering one more question. That was New Jersey Senate President Steve Sweeney. When we come back, we'll get a first-person perspective on what it's like to be a black police officer in today's world. That's when Jersey Matters continues.